What's up, peeps? Welcome back to Let's Talk Movies. I'm Brad.
I'm Miguel.
Tonight on the show, we are talking James Gunn's The Suicide Squad, and we're also talking the inaugural episode of Marvel Studios' What If on Disney Plus. We're also going to talk about what we watched this week, and there may even be a little Friday the 13th unboxing slash show off for you. So, this is episode number 34 of Let's Talk Movies. Thanks so much for joining us. Guys, last week was wild. We haven't had a movie news episode.
I'm sorry, guys. I just tried this drink. It was fucking delicious. I was very surprised by it.
You got all bug-eyed for a second.
Good drink.
Well, we haven't had...
Welcome to Let's Talk Movies, guys. I'm sorry.
Well, we haven't had a movie news show. Anyways, moving on. For 2 weeks now. We're sorry about that. Last week was crazy, man. There was so much going on. Teachers went back to school. Kids come back this week. I had stuff literally every single night. So I was talking to Miguel, and we were texting back and forth, and I said, there is literally no way that we can have one. And I have a whole show planned out. And I promise you, we are making you a promise right here. We will have a Let's Talk Movie News show on Friday. I promise we will. Because we have slacked hardcore.
Yeah.
But it was a wild week, man. Anyways, we're here. How you doing?
We're doing good. I'm doing good. What? Okay.
We're doing good? We are Venom?
Yeah, we're doing good. I'm talking about me and Milo, specifically. We're doing great over here, guys.
What are you drinking? As I pour mine.
As you saw my bug eye, I'm drinking Bang. I'm about to fucking lose my shit.
I try to pour off screen. Bang.
Yeah, Bang.
I try to pour off screen so YouTube doesn't copyright us, because I'm sure that's something that YouTube would do.
You mean flag us?
Yep.
Okay. I don't think we get copyrighted with doing your drink. I think if anything else, you should show it up to the lens and
I think that's part of their I think that's part of their
promote it.
Privacy policy. Not privacy, I don't know. Their YouTube policy. I think you're not really allowed to drink alcohol, which whatever.
No, you can drink.
Not like we
I've
make
seen
money
plenty
off
of
of this
podcasts
anyways.
of people drinking.
I know. It's probably fine, but so be it.
Yeah.
I am drinking New Belgium Voodoo Ranger Imperial IPA. And it's one of those big cans, so it's probably about to knock me down, but you know what? It's fine. I'm looking forward to it.
Okay. Sounds like it's going to be a chill Sunday for him, guys.
Yep. So, fun. I'm hype about it. My Halloween Kills mask from Trick or Treat Studios has shipped, and it is on its way to my house. It's going to find a spot right up here so it can be next to the poster and be like on screen in all of its burned crispy glory.
He's got his own like Halloween comb and brush just waiting. Like it's out. Remember, guys, from our previous
No, I
talk,
don't.
How he combs his fucking mask.
I don't
He's
comb
got
it.
his own
I
comb
don't comb
and brush
it.
ready to comb that guy
I
down.
don't comb it. You just gotta
He's got an
style
hour
it.
caved. He's got an hour carved out on the day when it comes in.
You just gotta spray it down with well.
He told
Actually,
his wife,
I don't.
He told his wife Julia, "Listen, babe, ain't nothing happening that night. It's just me and the mask." I'm pretty sure that's gonna be 100% the way it goes. I'll text your wife and be honest, like, hey, I'm gonna warn you.
The last 6 months has been fun, but I'm gonna sign off. So it'll be fun though. I don't think I'm gonna have to stylize anything with the hair on this one because half of it's burned and half of the hair is like kind of that's not glued down, but if you look at pictures of it, it's got like stuff all in it to like make it look like it's been like seared. So I'm excited. I'm excited to see it. There's a lot of people giving it crap, but you know what? And we'll talk about this probably next week.
In these masks, man.
It's
you gotta wait till like a couple years after the movie drops for you to get like legitimate, like good shit. You know what I mean?
And I know a lot of people have them rehauled, and that's cool. Like if you want your mask rehauled, that's sweet. The only one that I've had rehauled is this one, and I did it myself. I don't know. I probably won't get it rehauled. I'm just going to be straight up. I know like people complain about Trick or Treat Studios because they say that it doesn't look exactly like the movie and yada yada yada. But like, when you're paying 60, 70, 80 bucks for a mask, like it's not gonna look like you ripped it straight out of the movie. It's just not. You know what I mean?
It's still expensive for a mask. You know what I mean? I feel like you should expect something like that for a
Yeah.
mask.
And I mean, until Trick or Treat Studios came along, you had those like $20 Party City masks that looked like I don't even know. It just looked terrible. It looked like a pea that was painted white. Like it looked awful.
It looks like a what?
Some of them look terrible. Terrible.
Well, that's where I usually get my mask. I mean, that's what Michael Myers get for getting these really how can I put this? Really like exact mask replicas in these movies because they have to look exactly like the ones in the mask. Whereas Scream, everybody knows what the fucking Scream mask looks like. They got like about 50 of them in fucking Party City.
Even the crappy ones, like $10 at Walmart, still look like it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it still looks like legitimate from the movie.
Yeah.
So I mean, you think they would be able to figure out how to make a fucking Michael Myers mask decently?
Yeah. And like when I rehauled my H2, like I didn't rehair it. I literally just did the paint job, and it's not screen accurate. Like when Laurie shoots him in the eyes at the end, he doesn't bleed out of the nose, or like blood doesn't come out of the nose, or like the mouth hole or whatever. Like it's just the two streams down the eyes. But I thought it looked cool. So it's all in your personal preference, Joe.
Take it for what it is, I guess. The fact that you put blood around his eyes, I find that really weird. I'm glad you didn't do that.
Okay, that's out of the movie, though.
I would have to reconsider our friendship if I watched you do that.
What, paint it? Nah, it's fine. Well, in case you guys did not know, I was also on Frank Riker and Darren Sands' podcast, The Slaughtered Lamb, this past week. They did a Friday the 13th trivia episode, and I was one of the contestants, and I'm going to go ahead and spoil it for you. I sucked.
He sucked. Guys, our horror movie dude in this podcast fucking bombed. What was it, 40%? 4 out of 10? Yeah.
I got 4 out of 10 right, and I was in 6th place.
Shit for Texas Chainsaw Massacre, dude, but this guy over here got fucking 40%. Don't give me shit now. Don't give me
to be fair, they were hard. Frank, nothing against you, buddy, but they were hard. Like I really didn't know the answers to those questions. Yeah, honestly, I didn't. Like I said, there were only 4 out of 10 that I got right.
Yeah, like those questions, I'm pretty sure I would have got like, I don't know, I wouldn't even gotten one right because they're getting really really deep into the cuts. So I was like, no pun intended. I was like, yeah, there's no way I can get. There's no way I would have done it.
It was still a good time though.
Oh, I'm sure it was. When Brad told me that he was doing this, I was like, Brad, you didn't invite me to this, did you? And he was like, no. I was like, thank God, because I would have embarrassed all of us. This podcast would have been fucking flamed. So
well,
good for you. Good job.
It was a good time. And I was talking to Darren after, and we're going to get together and do something. So we'll have a Let's Talk Movies meets The Slaughtered Lamb one of these days. It'll be a good time. So, but they have an awesome show. If you haven't checked out The Slaughtered Lamb, Frank and Darren do a really, really good job over there. The thing that I like about them is they talk about movies, and not even just horror movies in general, that are kind of skipped over and that people don't really give a lot of attention to, excuse me. And that's really cool. I think that's pretty special. Everybody talks Halloween. Cool. Everybody talks the Marvel stuff. Everybody talks Elm Street, Friday the 13th, Texas Chainsaw. Everybody talks that stuff. But they give a lot of attention to smaller, even indie flicks that don't really get a lot of headway. So check them out. It's pretty cool. We'll get them on at some point. Guys. We'll do something. Speaking of Friday the 13th, I wanted to show this off. Finally. No fault to Womp Stop Films or anybody, because I know they are slammed. They have a whole bunch of stuff to do. Haven't even taken it out of the wrapper yet. Finally got Never Hike Alone and Never Hike in the Snow on Blu-ray.
Did you donate to that as well? Like,
I did.
Did you get the same thing you get as like for Black Christmas?
Yeah. I didn't do Never Hike Alone, but I did donate to Never Hike in the Snow. It's that dope art. I don't know if you can even see it.
Oh yeah, if you're a horror fan, you know exactly what that.
Yeah. And it also came with the thank you card for supporting the project.
See, that's dope. You never get that with like usual movies. You don't.
Yeah. You also don't usually pay for usual movies until you're like going to see it.
I know, but
know.
it's nice to know you contributed somewhat to the movie. You're
But
technically like a $10 executive producer. You know what I mean?
yeah. That's pretty much what it is.
That's pretty dope.
That's so dope. That art is crazy.
I would
Poor
get
guy in the
that
snow.
framed. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Even though it's
Thank you
so
for
small.
Thank you for purchasing this Never Hike in the Snow Blu-ray disc. None of this is possible without your support, and we hope that you enjoy this limited edition limited first edition home video release. Jason will never die because of fans like you. Vincent
Did you
DeSanti.
really write that on there?
You really did.
Fuck.
Thank you to Vincent DeSanti. Thank you to Womstom Films for sending that, and thank you for keeping Jason alive. Because we all know they're never going to get out of this freaking lawsuit thing because they're all fighting over him and who owns the rights to him. It's stupid.
Hey, Jason's kind of cool.
Yeah, but I don't know.
I'd be surprised if they weren't fighting over it.
Here's my thing with the lawsuit. Like I know we did a whole episode about the Scarlett Johansson thing with Disney. That's different. But this, like, when you have a franchise like Friday the 13th, Victor Miller and Sean S. Cunningham have made, like, I don't know why they can't come to an agreement to say, look, let's split the money. Like, but I know I don't get all of the ins and outs of it. I'm sure there's a lot of legal jargon that I don't know anything about. But I just don't understand why they can't reach a compromise and be like, look, we would rather have the character live on than sit there and keep this thing held up in court for so long. You know, I just don't know why they can't come to an agreement. But again, I mean, they want that money. Because when you see Jason on a big screen, you are going to get money.
Yeah, take a look at that reboot that they did. No, like the most recent Jason Voorhees. Down smash at the box office. No, for a horror movie, it's smash.
Yeah, I mean, so I don't know. But it's awesome that we get Never Hike Alone and Never Hike in the Snow. Jason Rising just came out. I haven't gotten a chance to watch that either. But, I mean, there's just... I mean, these fan films are so good. Like, you could consider this to be canon with the franchise. That's how good it is. I mean... Good Lord, Tom Matthews even came back to play his same role. Like, that's pretty legit. You know what I mean? So, but it's just cool. I hope Friday finally gets out of this lawsuit thing, man. I really do. It just sucks.
I think overall, Jason Voorhees is probably one of my favorite of the horror slasher franchise. That's mainly because I didn't know Michael Myers all that well back then. I knew Jason a lot more. And I just wish get out of this fucking lawsuit, guys. Jesus Christ. Not everything has to be a goddamn lawsuit.
Yeah.
Not everything, guys. It's like just know what the fuck do the fans want? What do they want to see? Okay. If you guys can't,
not everything has to be about money. Of course, that's what's that's not, I know many people would disagree with me.
Yeah. But
money is what makes the world go round, but
Hollywood is just never ending with all this bullshit. Except big news, you guys. Everyone give a round of applause for fucking Brendan Fraser coming back. I know,
man. I knew.
Let's fucking go.
I knew that would make you happy seeing him come back.
It really did. I love seeing that. He's in a movie with Leonardo DiCaprio, and I think the director is what's his name? Martin Scorsese's next film, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, it's great to see him in that.
Did you see the? I don't know if it was on TikTok or Instagram or whatever, but he got a little emotional. Like I don't know if he was on like a live or what he was doing, but Brendan Fraser got a little emotional. Like fans supporting him. You know, I think the majority of fans are like, dude, you were wrong. Like Hollywood.
We all agree.
You know,
like, honestly, it's like free Brendan Fraser or bring Brendan Fraser back. Free Britney, free all of those people that have just been like absolutely fucking raped by the Hollywood and just whatever it is, this entire industry, just the whole like Hollywood-ish kind of entertainment industry. They all need to be freed and right from these wrongs that they've gone through. And Brendan Fraser is by far one of the best news I've heard this week. And hopefully we can talk more about it on the Movies News podcast. But yeah, I'm just all excited for that, man. I'm so glad. Ever since the Mummy franchise George of the Jungle. I was thinking,
Mhm.
don't make me feel like a dumbass.
Yep.
Yeah, George of the Jungle, and I was excited to see him in Doom Patrol as well. Is it Doom Patrol? I don't remember when he plays
I don't
Robot
know.
Man.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's great. It was great to see that he's still getting like smaller roles, and
Right.
now to know that he's going to be in a Martin Scorsese movie,
Yeah.
that may propel him back into like the limelight, which
Right.
should be rightfully so.
You've always been a huge Brendan Fraser fan, though.
Oh yeah, I knew all about that whole bullshit he went through for a long time, and I was like, damn, because I was wondering where he's been.
When
Because I
did we
remember
first
seeing
talk
him,
about that? We talked
I
about
think
that like a lot on an episode like a while back.
I
I
think
don't
we
remember
were
what we were
talking.
talking about though.
I think we were talking about the 80s, or no, like the 80s or 90s. It was one of those. When
You
we
know
were
what it
talking
was.
about
I
what?
know what it was. It was the Hollywood Foreign Press Association thing.
Oh
Because he was
yeah,
something that got brought up at how screwed up that organization had become and like how it had
yeah.
screwed over. Yeah, yep.
I remember that in the 90s,
Crazy.
or one of our decades episode, because we were talking about like all the hit that that decade is where like most of our like A-list celebrities came from. And I remember mentioning, I was like, Brendan Fraser could have been, he could have been like a Tom Cruise level
Yeah.
actor. It's just, he just got fucked over so hard. And it just sucks, man. It sucks. And it's like one of those things is like, do you ever scroll through Facebook and like, IMDb or like BuzzFeed or
Yeah.
LAD Bible was like
Mm-hmm.
actors who just disappeared from the limelight since the
Yeah.
90s, and you see them.
Yep.
Brandon Fraser is always on that list because it's like he was a fucking hit and then he just disappeared because of all that bullshit.
Yeah.
So nice to know that he's coming back.
Yeah. Brendan
Slowly
Fraser's
but
coming
surely.
back. Brittany is freed next on the list. And I've always been a huge fan of Johnny Depp. I really have been.
And Johnny Depp. Holy shit. Yeah.
I feel for him, man. Like, I really think, and I'm not going to go too far into this because I know some people are like super hardcore on either side, but like, I really feel like Johnny Depp has been wronged. Like, I don't think, he did have an alcohol problem. And I'm not saying Johnny Depp has never had issues. Like, I think Johnny Depp has had his share of issues, but I think this deal with Amber Heard and the abuse thing, there is video. I mean, if you look at video of him, like when she moves her hand, like he flinches. You know what I mean? Like you can't fake that. You know, even if you're
No.
Johnny Depp, you can't fake something like that. I mean, there's so many instances and so much video, so many pictures where they're at award shows or they're in public together and he looks uncomfortable being next to her. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
again, that's not to say that Johnny never had any of his issues or anything, but God, I hate it for him. I really do.
But most of his actions that he's been doing like recently is because he's like fucking
I know.
going through the ringer right now. So
and
it's
you
good to
know-
know that he's getting some victories in that battle.
Right. And like I know Disney fired him because I think it was
They need to
partially
hire his ass back.
Well, it was partially the alcohol. I know there was a rumor a while ago that they wanted to reboot Pirates of the Caribbean with like an all-female cast or whatever, but like I don't know. Pirates of the Caribbean is like lightning that you can't capture in a bottle again. Like you can't.
No,
Like
not really.
that
It's
movie.
hard to do. It's hard to do a Pirates movie and for it to be good.
I know. And I think he was part of the reason that made that so good. I mean, and if you look at the original, if you look at Curse of the Black Pearl,
Mm-hmm.
Jack Sparrow wasn't really the star of it. It was really Keira Knightley and Orlando Bloom that were like, I mean, of course, the three of them received top billing, but I mean, he was kind of a not secondary, but you know what I'm trying to say. He wasn't. The story was the heart of the story was really about Orlando Bloom and Keira Knightley's characters.
Yeah,
and
but
he
it
was
wasn't
just kind
until,
of the sidekick there. But it was so iconic and it was so good.
Yeah,
Half the
and then
stuff
like
that he says in that movie is just like, what?
It's
Like,
fucking
where does that
hilarious,
come
yeah.
from?
and then
So-
at World's End, you like actually get to see the actual hidden story of
Yeah.
Jack Sparrow, which is fucking sad. But at the same time, it's like, yeah, he basically created that character and just made it such an icon, along with the Mad Hatter, which even though he's only had 2 movies with him. As the Mad Hatter,
I forgot about
yeah, still so iconic.
that. Mhm.
He's his main top dollar acts is basically Mad Hatter and Jack Sparrow. I mean,
Yeah.
that's where he's so well known for.
I
I'm
even
sure the
like
horror
him.
fan, he's known for like Nightmare on Elm Street, but like in the
Oh
general
yeah.
populations, it's Mad Hatter. Yeah, exactly, right?
Every
He's
time,
been in the business since that,
every
since
single
Nightmare
time
on
I
Elm Street.
watch the original Nightmare on Elm Street, I'm like, "There's baby Johnny Depp."
Yeah, yeah,
This is
yeah,
teenager Johnny Depp sitting there with
yeah.
Nancy.
And
But
obviously people know him from 21 Jump Street, the TV show that is, and from the
mhm.
movies. So like
Yep.
he's been in there for so long. Oh god, there's so many more. There's
You
so
know
many
what I really
more.
liked him in
Edward
too?
Scissorhands,
Did you ever see
uh
Blow?
Blow, yeah, when he was
I
a cocaine,
love Blow. That's a
he was
really
a
good
cocaine
movie.
dealer. Yeah, pretty dope.
Yeah.
And then you know this because this hits us close to the heart. What was it? What was it? It was a musical. Sweeney
Sweeney
Todd.
Todd. Yeah, Sweeney
Yeah,
Todd.
Sweeney Todd. By far.
That was good
One of
too,
my
man.
favorite musicals as well. He does a spot on. He's a great actor.
He's one of the few actors that is good in every single thing he does. Even if like I wasn't wild about the Alice in Wonderland the reboot, the live action reboot, which I are there two of them or is there only one of them?
I think it's Alice in Wonderland and there's Alice in Wonderland something mirror.
I don't know. I never
If
saw
I'm
the
not
second one. I
mistaken.
only ever saw the first one like one time. But and I
Mhm.
wasn't wild about it, but he steals the show in anything he's in because he's so good and he's so unique and he's such a weird, unique person in real life. Like I feel like he's actually kind of like Jack Sparrow in real life. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
he's quiet and he's weird, but I love him. I always have, and I just hope that I hope he's not permanently blacklisted. I hope he's not the next Brendan Fraser. If that's not
No,
too
I don't
insensitive
think
for me
so.
to say, I really don't, because I mean Johnny Depp is he is one of the most iconic actors of all time. He
Mhm.
really is. So I
I
love
think
him,
you
man.
guys can understand from this podcast perspective, we are team Johnny Depp. Just point blank. You got to
And
know we are.
our dads have played golf together, so there's that.
There you go. Yeah. Our dads. We have
My
the same
dad,
dad, guys.
my dad has played golf with Johnny Depp's dad. It's pretty dope. It's kind of a cool thing to say. I'm not gonna lie. It makes them sound like they're buddies. They're not. They're not like friends.
It's just
This
one of
was
those cool moments
probably
where
this
like
was like the early 2000s. Yeah, but it's just
early
cool.
2000s. That was like I'm trying to figure out what movies he was in 2000s. He was in a lot of them. I think Blow was in 2000s, wasn't it?
Blow may have. Let me look it up. Blow may have been the 90s.
Really?
If I'm
There's so many 90s movies that I just kind of mistaken for like they were in the 2000s.
Blow came out in 2001.
Okay, there you go.
2001. So yeah, love him,
So
man.
yeah,
Love him.
lot of great news coming out in the movie business. So that's
Yeah,
good to hear. So we'll have a lot to
absolutely.
talk about. So when we do have an episode from the
Mhm.
movies news, we'll have plenty to talk about.
We will. We'll have a lot to talk about.
Yeah.
What'd you watch this week? Before we hop into Suicide Squad, we are going to talk about the Suicide Squad and What If. I promise. That's going to be the bulk of the episode. But what'd you watch this week?
I've been binging Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee, which if you guys don't know, it's on Netflix. It's another series Jerry Seinfeld is doing. It is absolutely great. I love it. There's something about that TV show that I just adore. It's pretty much Jerry Seinfeld. I mean, he's retired from Seinfeld, the TV show, and he hasn't been doing anything. So he just decided to do a TV show where he picks a car, like an older vintage vehicle that not a lot of people really know. Like there's a lot of cars that he presents in that show that I've never seen before in my life.
That's
and
cool.
then he chooses a car that best matches the person he's driving with, which is usually like comedians, people he's worked with, or some like funny execs. So and they just drive around in the car, talk, get coffee, and just go about their day. It's great because it's something I love to do. I love to just go in my car, pick up some of my friends, and just hang out and just grab some lunch or coffee. It's great. I love that. I love that idea. It's a great concept.
That's
And
cool.
just the fucking humor in it is fucking hilarious. For them to hear like the background of the business and also of like what it is to be a comedian, which something I love. You guys don't know, like I'm a huge guy in the whole comedic genre. Like I know a lot of comedians, and just from this TV show alone, I've rewatched like so many episodes. Like I've seen the one with Steve Harvey and Seinfeld. I've seen the one with him and Eddie Murphy. I've seen the one with him and Chris Rock, Jim Carrey. Like, there's so many like top hitting comedians
That's
that are
awesome.
in that show. Like,
That's pretty
Brad,
cool.
you need to check it out. If you like that,
What's
you
it
like
on?
that type of shtick, Netflix.
Okay.
It's one of Netflix's big things. Actually,
What's it called?
let me comedians and cars getting coffee.
It's a mouthful.
It's a large, yeah.
It's a mouthful
But
of a name.
here's
Here's
a fun fact. Here's a fun fact, my guy. Netflix didn't start that show. You know where it was? You know, guess what streaming service it was on?
I don't know. What was it on?
It was on Crackle. Do you know that?
Okay.
That is,
yeah.
That is old. I would say like 2017. 2017. It was like about 4 years ago.
Old.
That's old for me, man. The whole streaming service thing. Like you know, like in the beginning, like there was a lot of streaming services trying to like make stuff and like try to get big. Like there are a lot of streaming services, and Crackle was one of like the smaller ones that kind of fell under the rug for me.
Right.
And Netflix pretty much just bought it out and took it to Netflix. And so far it's been great. I don't know when they're gonna do another season. I think the last season was like a year and a half ago. Because then again, Jerry Seinfeld, like he's probably a funny comedian. Yeah, that too. But Jerry Seinfeld is like, he's a fucking comedic genius, so to speak. Because Seinfeld alone was just so impactful in that generation. And now that he's retired, I mean, he can almost do anything he wants. So I mean, he takes his time to do these shows. Oh yeah. So which by all means, do what you got to do. As long as you keep making great content, I'm all for it.
For sure. I've been on a fall kick. So we put out our fall decor yesterday.
It's still 102 degrees yesterday, man.
I know it's been hot as hell. I think the Wednesday, the day that kids are supposed to come back to school, it's supposed to be like a heat index of like 107 or something like that. Yet here we are with our fall stuff out. We got the pumpkin candles lit. Anyways, I've been on a kick. I don't know why. I was like, you know what? Let's rewatch all the Harry Potters. We got the Harry Potter box set as a wedding gift, so we were like, let's watch it. So I made it through the first three. So Sorcerer's Stone, Chamber of Secrets, and Prisoner of Azkaban.
Yeah.
And I'll probably, honestly, when we're done filming this, we'll probably start Goblet of Fire, like while we're just sitting there, you know, and I'm gonna edit this and stuff. But it's been fun watching them again. I've always really liked the Harry Potter series. I've never read the books, which my wife gives me shit all the time for, because I'm not a reader. I can read stuff, but it takes me like a year to finish a book. Just because.
Did you just see that guy? You just shot like the biggest loogie I've seen in my fucking life. Jesus Christ, my guy.
It takes me a while to finish a book, but it's been fun rewatching those.
The book's fucking huge. Like, give me a break, guys. Each book is fucking huge. You know the biggest book I've read? It was I don't know. I'm looking at my bookshelf right now. It was Because of Winn-Dixie. Have you read that book?
I have read because I think I had to read Because of Winn-Dixie in middle school.
Yeah, I read it in middle school. That's the biggest book I've read. I read that book for like 12 RA points or reading
RA point. Oh my god, I forgot about that.
You remember how you like read books just for the fucking credits?
Forgot about that. You read books so that you get credit, you get like prizes or something, or like you know something like that. I forgot about that.
Exactly.
Blast from the past.
Yeah. I remember what I'm talking about. That shit was competitive as fuck. That made people. I'm pretty sure that created a lot of book nerds, so to speak.
Probably.
100%.
I don't remember the books. I remember the last book when Deathly Hallows came out. I remember that because it was a big deal. I have that one too. That's the only one I own. That's the only one I own. I'm not even a reader, and we bought it. Like,
yeah, like it was such a big deal. It was so.
Do you have the one with like the orange case on it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I have the one. It's got like Harry on one side and Voldemort's on the other side, like with the cloak, and you just see like the snake, like red eyes. I'd grab mine if it's not in here. I'd have to go in the living room to get it. Yep,
I have it.
Yep,
I have it.
Flip it over. Is Yeah.
Yep. There's Voldemort.
If you open the back cover, you can like see his eyes or whatever in there.
There's Voldemort. Yep. Yeah. And like, who was it?
People flipped their shit when that book came out.
I forgot. It was a birthday present.
From who?
I totally lost my shit from my grandma. It was for my 10th birthday. Boy, guys, we were 10 years old when this book came out. Do you realize that? We
Holy
were 10 years
crap.
old.
It
That's how
has been
long
a minute
ago
though. Because it's been a minute since
since the movie came out.
it's been a
It
minute
really
since Deathly.
has.
Because I remember oddly enough, I only remember seeing what's the second is Half-Blood Prince the second to last one, or is it Order of the Phoenix? It's
No,
Half-Blood
it's
Prince.
Half-Blood Prince.
I remember seeing Half-Blood Prince in the theater, and I remember seeing Deathly Hallows Part 1 and 2 in the theater.
Yeah,
Because
because the
I
movie
remember
itself were fucking insane. They were great. They were great movies.
I remember sitting in the movie theater during Order of the Phoenix when they're in the Ministry of Magic,
I'm gonna keep it right there.
and well, there you go.
Everyone
It's
to
a
see. There you
it's a
go.
display piece.
Now it is.
I remember when is it Order of the Phoenix? I want to say it is when Voldemort is with Harry in the Ministry of Magic, and Dumbledore steps out, and
Yeah, Order of the
Dumbledore and Voldemort go hard for like it's like a 3 or 4 minute scene where the two of them are just like duking it out. And I
Whoa.
remember sitting in the movie theater like, oh my god, like it was such a big deal. It was a big deal at the time. You know what I mean? I mean, that was like seeing it on a big screen was incredible. It really, I mean, I
Well,
remember the hype leading up to the end. It was really cool.
Harry Potter is probably one of the franchises where like guys see this a lot on social media now. I think Harry Potter is starting to kick out again with the I don't know what's going on, but it's coming out a lot. And there was a thing where they were saying like the posters for like Deathly Hallows Part 2, like it was such a Harry Potter is such a well-known franchise that they didn't even have to put the title. They just put Harry Potter and Voldemort, and it said it all ends this date. Like the fact that everybody should know what this movie is, it shows how impactful this franchise is, which I completely agree.
It's funny, dude. That would be a cool poster to have. I have no room for posters. I was just telling Julia about that. I ordered those 4 Halloween Blu-rays from the collector's Blu-rays from Shout Factory, and they come with posters. I said, I don't know where the hell I'm gonna put them. I don't have any room in here. Mm-hmm. Like we're probably gonna have to move in, sometime in the middle of next year. But like, I mean, I don't know what I'm gonna do. Yeah, our lease is up.
I'm just hearing about this. You're not gonna release? Okay, that's fine.
Probably not.
Moving forward, guys.
Anyways,
next year we'll have a new venue.
But I remember the poster for Deathly Hallows, like you said, it just said it all ends, and it had the date. And I remember in the Richmond Cinemark seeing that poster, and it didn't have the title. It literally just said it all ends with the date, and it was Hogwarts all on fire, and like with the force field around it and stuff. Like it was dope. Like that was a dope poster. So, and I think the other thing about that was the first movie that split it up into 2 things.
It was
split the finale up into 2 separate movies. Mm-hmm. Because
look how fucking thick this book is. You think you're gonna make an hour-and-a-half movie and combine it all with this book? And
it would have to be like Titanic, where it's on 2 separate VHS tapes.
Yeah, exactly. And also, if you guys don't know, like I'm sure you guys know, anyone that's read the book, I have not read the book, but I know for a fact, like there's so much more in this book that is not in the movie, or some of it's kind of like flipped out some way. Mm-hmm. Like there's so much more in the book. So I don't think you guys get it. I don't think you guys get how lucky me and Brad are. Is the fact that we watched Deathly Hallows, and for any reason, we watched the entire Harry Potter franchise, and for whatever reason we get like a reading kick, we're gonna get a whole other experience if we decide to read the book. So we're fortunate to have that. Mm-hmm. So I just want to say that for anyone that flames us for not reading the books.
Yeah.
Fuck y'all.
I'm used to it because my wife puts me on blast all the time for not reading the books. And I was like, what? I don't care because I love the movies.
Just tell her that. Be like, listen, you've already experienced it. I have not. I get to experience it whenever I want to now. I know it's going to be a hit, but I just got to know when to pull the trigger.
You want to know something? Thinking back on it now and thinking about the whole splitting up the finale into 2 movies, because that's really what they did with Infinity War and Endgame, if you think about it. Yeah. Because that could have been 1 movie and they split it into 2, and it made sense to split it into 2 because the story you're trying to tell is so friggin' big. You can't tell it in 1 movie, or else it would have to be 4 or 5 hours long. But Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 2 was the Avengers Endgame of that decade.
Yes,
It
or
really
for so to
was.
speak, or if you were to actually be accurate about that statement, Avengers Infinity War and Endgame was basically Harry Potter's
The Harry
part
Potter
one,
of
part two.
the Harry Potter of that. The Avengers, Infinity War and Endgame were the Harry Potter of that decade. Yeah, you're
Yeah,
right.
exactly. That's pretty much the best way to say it.
Yeah,
And that's fucking hilarious.
for sure.
So yeah, more power to you
Absolutely.
guys.
But it's been a lot of fun watching those through again. And speaking of books that are way different than the movie, or that people get a lot of crap for it being different, we also watched last night, actually. We wanted to watch a horror movie. We've been in that fall mood. We watched Doctor Sleep. I adore that movie. I really do. Have you seen Doctor Sleep? Have you
I have
seen The
not.
Shining?
I have not.
Man, for those of you who don't know, Doctor Sleep is Stephen King's sequel to The Shining, and I must say, like, I mean, The Shining is good. It really is, and I'm talking about Stanley Kubrick's The Shining with Jack Nicholson, Shelley Duvall. Um, it's a good movie, but it was never like I never kind of understood the hype behind The Shining. I did read The Shining in high school. That was one of those, again, talking about those points, getting those points in school.
Damn,
I
son,
did get.
that points must have been like 20. I'm over here reading
It
like
was
5-point
long.
books. Brad over here
It
knocking
was.
20-point books right now. Damn.
It was
You read better
long.
books than I did. Damn.
It
I was the
was
one reading
long,
I was the
man.
one reading books with pictures. So those are only like worth 5 points for me.
You want to hear something funny? I tried to read The Godfather, and I got to like page 4, and I was like, nope. And I checked it back in. I was like, I'm good. The Godfather is like,
I wonder how many points that was. That's got to be fucking hilarious.
would have been like 4,000. It was.
Yeah.
The Godfather is like 4,000 or 5,000 pages. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I'm sure so many kids like during that time. I'm sure so many kids checked out that book saying, "Oh, I'm gonna get those 40 points," and then like 3 days later, they're like, "It's back in the library." So like, kids are coming to the library left and right trying to get that 40 points reading The Godfather, but then it comes back like
they're
the
like,
next
nah.
day. Yeah, the librarian's like sitting here like, "Good luck. I'll see this back tomorrow." Just knowing like, bitch, you ain't reading this. You ain't gonna be able to read this. Good luck in those 40 points. Yeah, that's great.
But
That's
man,
what
I gotta say, I was never a huge fan. I liked The Shining, but I was kind of like, why does this get so much hype? Like, people think, I mean, there are people that think The Shining is the greatest horror movie ever made. And I must say, man, Doctor Sleep makes me appreciate the biggest compliment that I can give it is that it makes me appreciate The Shining so much more than I ever did. It really does. It's amazing, man. It is an incredible sequel. It's really good.
I really have to check it out. I want to
Yeah.
see The Shining and then Doctor Sleep.
We'll have to do it at Christmas time. There's a couple horror movies. Well, it takes place in winter.
Doesn't mean it took place during Christmas. Bitch, there's snow in January and February. The fuck you mean?
Especially, it takes place in Colorado. So, I mean, like...
Okay, then that shit probably happened in March. Fuck out of here. That happened during St. Patrick's Day. You might as well just add a shit ton of leprechauns in that fucking movie,
Yeah.
for fuck's sakes.
Well, at Christmas, we need to do commentaries for Black Christmas and Gremlins, because Gremlins does take place at Christmas time. And we need to do The Shining and Doctor Sleep, maybe January, February, March, somewhere in there. We'll do a commentary for those two. And Julia will have to join us because Julia loves The Shining. She loves The Shining.
Really?
She loves The Shining. She loves Psycho. Julia's got a little bit more horror in her than you give credit for. She's good, man.
Now I know why they said I do. I get it.
There you go. All right, well, let's talk to Suicide Squad. Without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and issue a spoiler warning. If you have not seen the Suicide Squad, I don't really know why you're watching this because it's a like review and discussion, but so be it. If you haven't seen the Suicide Squad, go watch it and then come back to us because we are going to be talking about spoilers because there are a lot of them and there was a lot that went down. This movie was insane. Miguel, first thoughts.
Okay, first thought, James Gunn, Jesus fucking Christ, you went hard on this fucking movie. You really went for the Suicide Squad name. You really went for it. My goodness.
Absolutely.
Straight from the get-go, it literally, like, I was wondering it because
in the title and like in the cover titles and all that stuff, it showed so many fucking super villains or villains. So I was like, damn, this is about to be the biggest Suicide Squad I've ever seen. I was like, how the fuck are they gonna get all these people in there? Well, here's the kicker. Within the first 15 minutes, Brad texted me. He said, damn, James Gunn really said Suicide Squad. And I was like, yeah. Bro, they slaughtered everybody in the span of what? Not even 15, 20 minutes.
It wasn't even 15 minutes into the movie, and the majority of the characters were dead.
Yeah. Big RIP to Boomerang, man. Boomerang, I loved him.
Well, I'll tell you what.
Ending.
This movie was absurd and it was beautiful at the same time. It solidifies my thought that Zack Snyder and James Gunn need to take on the Kevin Feige role of the DCU. I really do.
Here's the thing. DC has an opportunity in front of them to pretty much have the helm to do whatever they want. Unlike Marvel, which has put themselves in a box already. Like, they have a formula and they have to follow it. Otherwise, if they were to steer away from that formula too far, they're going to get blacklisted, thinking, oh, they're going too far somewhere, blah, 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 and they'll get hated. DC, on the other hand, has the opportunity to create such a universe in there, not necessarily for continuity's sake, not to create a storyline, but just to create a great universe within the DC fandom. And
I agree.
They can bring in as many directors, and they can have the joy of steering it wherever they want and have some continuity stuff. But they just have a great opportunity ahead of them, because the way James Gunn and Zack Snyder did the last two movies, it's fucking phenomenal. Like, for sure. And James Gunn's iteration of the Suicide Squad was absolutely hilarious, because these were characters. Like, you knew what the situation was, but he made you love every single one of them. From Weasel, I fucking love Weasel the minute I saw him. I was like, this is gonna be fucking great. And always he bites the bullet. He's the first one that bites the bullet. Whenever, oh boy, when Rick Flag said, did anyone tell me if the fucking Weasel could swim? And Amanda Waller looked at his tech guy and was like, bro, you really didn't tell me that this man couldn't swim?
Yeah.
It was such a great scene right there from the get-go.
Well, I don't know if you noticed, but Zack Snyder was an executive producer on this.
No kidding, really?
Yeah, Zack Snyder had a hand in this. And again, that's why I say I feel like him and James Gunn could, and to be fair, I don't think either one of them wants the Kevin Feige role of the DCEU. There'd be a lot of repairing to do there, but I think what James Gunn did with this movie proves that the DCEU is viable. Like, there is something to save there.
Yeah, there's plenty to save.
I don't know. The opening of this movie was brutal. I mean, it killed me. I did not expect the majority. I mean, we knew that most of them were going to die. Like, James Gunn was straight up about that. On Twitter, in interviews, he was like, look, it is the Suicide Squad. Like, they are not going to survive this. But I just didn't expect it to be as
so many, and
it was so many right off,
so gruesome.
Like Michael Rooker's character, when he got like scared and overwhelmed and he started swimming away, I didn't expect him to die right off the bat. I didn't expect the Weasel to die right off the bat.
The Weasel is probably one of my favorite. It really was one of my favorite deaths. To this day, it set the tone for the movie. It was like, hey man, the group of people you're rooting for right now, they're a bunch of fucking idiots, and they're gonna make stupid decisions, and then they're gonna die. And whenever Pete Davidson came out and double crossed them, and you saw how he died, it was just oh fucking hell, this shit's gonna get rough.
I was shocked about Weasel. I was shocked about Boomerang.
What? No,
Boomerang.
No. Hold on.
Boomerang made it like what, 6 or 7 minutes into the opening of the movie, and then he was gone. I was like, what is going on here, man?
Have you seen the end credits of Suicide Squad?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So okay. By the way, Weasel doesn't die.
Yes, he doesn't die.
Yeah,
he does
coughs
survive.
He coughs up the fucking salt water and he walks off.
You know that's Sean Gunn, right?
It is Sean Gunn.
That's his brother, yeah.
Fucking
So
I love
funny.
seeing him. Have you seen the behind the scenes features of it? Just seeing
I
the way he
haven't, no.
acts as Weasel is fucking hilarious. His face when he does it, and the way he does the walk is fucking great.
Well, he had
And
that
yeah.
weird like
Yeah, yeah.
I don't even know what you'd call it. It was funny.
We can talk about the first squad when it comes to the Suicide Squad. Michael Rooker, Pete Davidson, I don't know who Javelin is, and Boomerang, and the fucking alien, I guess. Starfire.
Yeah, there were a couple of other ones that I didn't really know who they were.
I'm sure they have some comic
merit
backstory. Yeah, comic merit in the DC universe. But they were just there just to catch bodies.
Oh yeah,
just to pile bodies, pretty much. And
for sure.
At the beginning of the movies, did you actually think Rick Flag and Harley Quinn were like dead? Did you think they died right off the back?
No, because the other thing about this movie, and again, huge spoiler alert if you haven't seen the Suicide Squad. This movie not only I expected all of the characters who didn't really mean anything and that we had no emotional attachment to die, but when Rick Flag died, when Boomerang died, when who's the other one that shocked me?
Were you gonna say Peacemaker?
Yeah, that kind of shocked me until I saw the end credits. I was like, okay, whatever. Which we're gonna talk about Peacemaker in a minute. He wasn't afraid to kill main characters in this either, which is kind of that's kind of a ballsy thing to do, you know.
James Gunn really said, yeah, like again, he said, look, people are gonna die in this movie.
They're gonna die.
Like, I remember I was so scared because I was low-key spoiled in this movie because I remember I saw someone comment on like a post or whatever, and they said R.I.P. King Shark, and I was like, dog, no, but he survived.
He didn't die. Yeah, he didn't die.
But I guess that was like misled because like through the entire movie, I was like, oh god, where is King Shark gonna die? Where is he gonna die? But he didn't. He took a lot of hits. My dog took a lot of hits.
He
did. He just kept coming up.
Yep.
Did you know who voices him?
Sly.
Yeah, Sly. Sylvester Stallone. I didn't hear it. I knew he did, but I was trying to listen for his voice. But I heard it.
Oh, you could tell. You could tell right off the bat.
No, I couldn't hear it. Well, it wasn't until like at the very end.
I could tell it was
after Starro. And I just like out of the entire movie, King Shark, Ratcatcher, my favorite.
I ended up liking her a lot more than I thought I would. She was kind of like the heart of the movie, you know?
Really
I was just like, okay.
Her and Cyborg stole like both of these DC movies, 100%.
Here's the reason I say that James Gunn and Zack Snyder should take the helm on this, because A, they took characters like Cyborg, like Ratcatcher, like King Shark, who were kind of meaningless, and they gave them a ton of meaning, and they gave them they made them the heart of their films. And the other thing is, not only were their movies done well, incredibly well, but they were ballsy enough to do some crazy things. Like, James Gunn was ballsy enough to kill off main characters. Zack Snyder was ballsy enough to throw in the apocalypse scene and talk about Batman killing Harley and the Joker killing Robin, and I mean, just like dark stuff. Like, they're not afraid to go there, and I think that's what DC needs. DC has played it safe the entire time. They haven't done anything that's really like, wow. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's like there's no real stakes in the game.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. And the Suicide Squad felt like there were actual stakes involved. You know, I hate the fact that Rick Flair. I almost said Ric Flair. Oh. I don't mean Ric Flair.
Rick Flag.
That Rick Flag died. I hate the fact that I hate myself. I hate the fact that he died, but it gave actual stakes, and he died to make Peacemaker the villain of the movie, essentially. And it felt like there were stakes involved. And the DCEU needs actual stakes. That's why I hope The Rock has put so much effort and so much PR into Black Adam. I hope Black Adam has actual stakes involved. And I hope that, he keeps, like, The Rock keeps posting, like, the hierarchy of the DCEU is about to change forever. I hope that's true. Like, I hope that DC is finally starting to understand, and that Warner Brothers is starting to understand the direction it needs to go, and that they actually start going in that direction, because the Suicide Squad was a huge step in the right direction for them. It really was.
Yeah, 100%.
So,
And also, it was great to see. It was great to see that it didn't really give like a antagonist. You know what I
right.
mean? It didn't really give an antagonist in this
Yeah.
movie. There wasn't
didn't.
really any. The actual antagonist, if you think about it, was Amanda Waller, because she was the one leading the group, forcefully leading the group. And did you not think about that?
No, Amanda Waller was a bitch in this movie.
She was a fucking bitch.
I mean,
Waller.
I didn't
She was
like her
just-
in in David Ayer's Suicide Squad.
She was a bit of a badass. So
we
to
should
speak.
say Warner Brothers Suicide Squad, because obviously that wasn't David Ayer's movie at all.
Yeah.
But she was the bad guy. The twist when they were saving her, it was kind of like, oh, she sucks. But this movie, I was like, oh, like even the Mike or whatever his name was, her like computer guy, who was like,
Yeah.
you weren't really gonna do that to his daughter, were you? Talking about Bloodsport, and she was like, you don't know the half of what I would do. And I was like,
yeah, I thought she was. I was
like,
no, of
how
course not.
terrible.
I would never do that. But then she actually like she buckled down. She said, "Yeah, the fuck I would."
That's
So I was
why.
like, oh, okay.
There were a few moments. There were actually 3 or 4 moments in this movie where my mouth dropped. Like I was like, when Rick Flag died, the King Shark ripping the guy in half. One of the scenes that made my jaw drop is when Amanda Waller is getting ready to kill all of them, and the woman hits her with the golf club. I was like, I felt like Shia LaBeouf.
I'm not gonna lie. At that moment, I was like, "Girl, do you know what you just did?
Yeah.
Your entire team is gonna die." Like I was fully expecting at the end to just see Amanda Waller just sitting there like accepting defeat, but like her entire crew is dead. Because that's the mentality Amanda Waller has.
Right.
She's like
Right.
doing whatever she can to protect the government.
Absolutely, yeah.
Because
for
she's
sure.
really government thing. Because you heard what she said whenever Star was fucking shut up, and Bloodsport was like, Amanda, we have to do something, and Amanda Waller was like, well, it's in the government's best interest to let Starro fuck shit up over here. And I was like, what?
Yeah, she's a terrible.
I said no.
She is a terrible human being. She's
not a good person.
The villains have more of a moral conscience than she does.
Exactly. So like it makes sense why Flag wanted to like
expose
Amanda
her.
Waller.
Yeah,
expose her, because even from if this was supposed to be connected with the original Suicide Squad, like you saw how much Rick Flag was like fucked up and like manipulated by Amanda.
Mm-hmm.
So it makes sense why Rick just wants to like expose her and just go on, because he doesn't have a microchip. He's just a soldier. So it made sense for Rick to die that way, because there was no other way for Amanda to stop him unless she had someone inside, which was obviously Peacemaker, because Peacemaker is, again, I mean, he's a piece of shit. Peacemaker was a piece of shit.
I liked him for a while.
Yeah, John Cena did a good job depicting Peacemaker.
The minute he killed Rick Flag, I was like, I hate you. Like you just ruined the entire, like your entire character was just ruined for me when he killed Rick Flag.
No, for me, it was whenever he was about to kill Ratcatcher, because I was like, oh, come on. Because you know he was willing, like they said before, like, hey, this man's willing to kill women and children in the name of liberty. And I was like, okay, that's pretty fucked up. But he's still funny as hell. But then when he was about to put a bullet in Ratcatcher, I was like, oh, you're a piece of shit. Because with Rick Flag and Peacemaker, it kind of made sense. Because it's like, okay, these are just two people in the government that just gonna fight each other.
Yeah.
But yeah, whenever he's about to shoot a rat catcher, I was like, oh, you're such a fucking bitch.
Yeah.
But then that moment right there, when Bloodsport was just fucking falling down tier by tier, and he just
That was awesome,
falls
man.
right
That was
there, it
really
was
dope.
great.
Well,
Yeah.
how did he survive though? How did he Peacemaker?
He doesn't survive. This is supposed to be a prequel. Wait, what are you talking about?
Did you not see the post-credit scene?
Peacemaker?
Yes, Peacemaker's alive.
Holy shit! I missed that one.
You didn't stay to the end of the credit. What part of that? We've done this show for 6 months, and we have been watching these Marvel movies, even though this isn't Marvel, for years. There's a scene at the end where Amanda Waller's computer people go, and they're like, "Yeah, she's pissed at us. She sent us to go get him, and he's in a hospital. Peacemaker's alive."
I thought the fucking weasel was the post-credit scene.
No, there was another one. There was another one.
Well, fuck. I guess.
And his
I don't know what to say.
his series on HBO Max is supposed to come out. Shut up, Siri. Siri is listening to me. She thinks I said Siri. His series is supposed to come out on HBO Max in January of next year. So I don't know where they're gonna. I don't know where they're gonna go with that. But I don't know.
No, I mean, and like the comics and the animated TV show Justice League, like Peacemaker's all right. He's not the best, but he's all right. But in this movie, they made him out. He's a fucking terrible person.
He's the villain. Like he is kind of the villain of the thing. But it was cool. Like the scene, there were a couple of really cool action shots. Like the scene where him and Bloodsport shot their bullets at each other, and the bullets were like in slow motion meeting, and you saw his tear through his, or you saw Bloodsport's tear through Peacemaker's. The scene where, and it's just the cinematography of it, like. The scene where Rick Flag and Peacemaker are fighting each other before he kills him, and it's just his helmet, and you see their reflection.
That one was
and
dope.
It's kind of moving. That was a really cool shot as well. Mm-hmm. Let me tell you something. James Gunn is really, really good at like sewing humor into a story. Like the Suicide Squad is more of a fleshed out plot than the first one. But the humor slaps. Does it not? It really slaps.
The humor's great.
It's a serious story, but he finds a way for it to function as a comedy and as a serious like superhero / supervillain movie. You know what I mean?
Because these characters in the Suicide Squad, they're not like A-list villains. They're not A-list villains. They are like B or C-list villains that just got caught by like, Flash or Superman or Batman. Yeah. And they just have to work together. And every single one of them are pieces of shits in their own right.
Yeah.
Even for Ratcatcher, pieces of shits in their own right. So whenever they come together and they talk to each other, I mean, yeah, the humor is gonna be fucking hilarious. Like I've seen the trailer so many times, and I've heard Peacemaker's statement about having to suck every dick on the beach in the name of liberty. I've heard that so many times, and when I saw it, like actually in the movie, it still is fucking hilarious.
It was funny, hilarious. Dude. Yeah. Some of my favorite moments, when they're asleep out in the jungle and Bloodsport looks over and King Shark's got Ratcatcher and he's like getting ready to eat her or whatever,
like a fucking piece of pie or a pizza. I was like, what?
When they finally cornered him, the first time I actually like belly laughed out loud was when Peacemaker, he looks at Bloodsport and Ratcatcher and he's like, so are we gonna kill the Megalodouche or what? I was like, Megalodouche, that's awesome.
My favorite, like whenever it came with Bloodsport himself, like he is a serious character. Like he acts like a serious character, but he's still just, he has so much more humor in him as well. And he was like
the rat phobia thing.
With the rat phobia.
That was awesome.
Waller was like, you didn't tell me you were afraid of rats. He's like, I'm an assassin. Okay, what part of me gives you the right to know that I have a fucking phobia? I'm not supposed to tell you my fucking weaknesses. I'm a fucking assassin.
Yeah.
And just it
was really funny.
The comments about like the team in general is fucking hilarious.
Another one of my favorite.
Because I was gonna say, whenever Rick Flag was talking about the team, and he was talking about all these teammates and like the detachable kid, and Harley Quinn was just so surprised by it, and she was like, "That's his fucking superpower." And Rick Flag was like, "Well, I didn't pick the fucking team." It's like every single one of them knows like this team is fucking trash.
Yeah.
And Bloodsport says the same thing. He was like, "I didn't ask to be on this team. This team is fucking stupid." And it's just the way they know like this team is terrible, but they still were able to make it functional to some degree.
Yeah.
It's fucking hilarious. One person I'm surprised we haven't talked about, which is one of the funniest gags in this movie, is Polka Dot Man. With
he was funny.
Yeah, with Polka Dot Man, the running gag of like I think of everyone as like my mother.
Yeah.
And you see it. You see his mother in like most of his like point of views, like where it was whenever you first introduced his struggles, and then in the fucking nightclub, and then whenever it was time, whenever Bloodsport was like, "Hey, you see that? That's your mom.
That's your mom."
And you see his mom just fucking smashing shit. Fucking gold, man.
Dude,
these are fucking great.
My favorite scene with Polka Dot Man is when Amanda Waller's taking him through the mission and whatever, and King Shark's like, "Hand," and Amanda Waller's like, she goes, "Yes, that's your hand," and whatever, and he, Bloodsport goes, "We're all gonna die," and Polka Dot Man's like, he goes, "Oh, I hope so." I was like, what?
He made another comment about it. He made another slide comment about that. Because like I remember Ratcatcher was talking to Peacemaker, and Peacemaker was telling about how terrible he is. And Ratcatcher was like, "I thought you were the crazy one to Polka Dot Man." And he literally got up, he said, "I am." I was like, boy.
Even his death though, he said, "I'm a fucking superhero," and then he got hit. I was like,
yeah, that broke my heart. I was like, oh, come on.
I was like, oh my, he is gone.
Made sense. Yeah,
it did make sense, but it was just kind of like, oh.
It was so sudden. That's what sucked. I was
dude,
like,
I also loved
fighting chance.
Yeah, I loved the sequence when Peacemaker and Bloodsport were when they were killing all the they were trying to one up each other, and they were like doing all the weird creative kills and stuff, and then they finally get to the end, and the woman, she's from I Am Legend.
Oh yeah,
when her and Rick Flag are drinking tea, and he's like, "What are you guys doing here?" And she's like, "Well, where's the rest of my team? Why didn't they alert me when you guys came in?" And they killed all the wrong people. And Bloodsport was like, "There was nobody out there."
Yeah, no one was out there. And then Polka Dot Man said, "I thought of them as my mother, and I killed them." I was like, that scene right there, whenever they all pop out of nowhere, King Shark's introduction, it was fucking hilarious because he like peeked through the curtain, and you know how the curtains work. Like this man straight up went like this. He grabbed the curtain and went around his face. He was like,
"Yeah,
like a shark."
I was like, King Shark was funny.
King Shark was funny. Fucking great.
I liked when he.
I don't the best interpretation of King Shark for me, because there's so many. There's so many interpretations of King Shark from comics, animated shows, TV shows, and obviously the Lego series. Yeah. But yeah, this one right here is by far one of my favorites. I just love it.
I really liked it when he said, I don't know, somebody said something to King Shark, and King Shark said "see," and Bloodsport goes, "What is he learning Spanish now?"
Oh yeah,
it was just so many like little things, and that's why I said like it was a serious story. It was a really good story, but James Gunn he's a genius and even in Guardians of the Galaxy, he did the same thing. It's a good story and it ties in with the MCU or with the DCEU, but he just puts in those little comedic elements in there that just make it pure gold. Another character we haven't even touched on once is Harley, because Harley is like I love Harley, man. Margot Robbie does an incredible job with her. She had a really cool arc too. I thought there'd be a little bit more emotion when Rick Flag died, but she even kind of showed how psycho and psychotic she is when she slept with the guy and they were all like cutesy and whatever, and she found out all the information and shot him, and he was kind of like, and she was like, "Well, it was just what I had to do."
I feel like that scene probably would have held a lot of weight for I feel like the two of us, because neither of us have seen Birds of Prey.
I haven't seen Birds of Prey.
Yeah, so I
it
feel
kind of
like-
makes
I
me
feel
want to
like
watch
that
it now.
scene- Yeah, exactly. Like I need to go see that to like
Yeah.
make sense of that scene alone, because
Mhm.
I know Harley, like, you know, technically broke up with the Joker
Yeah,
during that time, so it like that scene makes sense. It's just it didn't make sense for me
right.
unless I've seen Birds of Prey. But still, funny ass scene. It was like a woke millennial
Yeah.
Harley Quinn.
She
Like-
had a couple of really good sequences in this movie too.
She
Milton?
did.
Who's Milton?
Dog. Milton's
She-
my favorite superhero in that movie.
he said Milton has been with us for like 4 hours.
And that's why I respect Polka Dot Man, because he noticed Milton
He noticed
the entire
Milton.
time. He
If
noticed
anything,
Milton.
he noticed Milton.
Exactly. I love how Milton he was just there.
Yeah.
I love how like the lady from I Am Legend, pretty much she said I'll give you a friend to get in. And he didn't want any part of it. He was just
Right.
in it. He just had to be in it, and he just had to
Absolutely.
be a superhero. So it was such a shame to see him go, but it
Yeah.
made sense.
It was really good, man. I gotta say, it was better than its predecessor. Again, I hate that Rick Flag died. The starfish thing was cool, the little monster thing, the zombie
hold on.
monsters. It was all
Let's-
really cool and different.
I want to talk about Starro. I feel so bad for Starro the Conqueror, man.
You feel bad for him?
Yes. Let's be honest. The real villain in this movie was Amanda Waller in the American government.
I mean, of course it was.
It really was. And
Duh.
because you saw like whenever Starro was dying, I mean,
We just got
the
put on
one of
NSA's
his-
hit list. No.
what, one of his people he controlled, all he said was, all I wanted to do was stare at the stars. And instead he got captured and
That's fair. He
fucking,
did say that, didn't he?
experimented. Like that's all he wanted to do. And now that he was here, he was like, fuck it, I might as well just conquer you all because you guys fucking experimented on me.
I will
So that's
say,
why.
when Harley runs off of the roof after Polka Dot Man dies, when they're fighting Starro at the end, when she jumps off of the roof and javelins like into his eyeball and the rats are swimming around and it starts
Dude.
filling up with blood, I was like,
It was the fact. No, you're skipping the part about the rats. It was the fact that the rats were the heroes. It was the fact that Ratcatcher alone took down Starro.
the rats
And-
are the real MVP of the Suicide Squad.
And Taika Waititi's a little cameo in that and speech
Yeah.
about the rats. Oh God, my heart. I love Taika Waititi.
Yeah.
He's fucking great. And
It was
just
awesome,
that
man.
speech alone gave so much weight for Ratcatcher. I love Ratcatcher. I love Ratcatcher 1 and 2. By far
Yeah.
one of my favorite characters too in this movie. It's just fucking great.
It was
This
awesome,
entire
man.
movie, every single character that survived and those that got to the climax of the movie, that by far my favorite characters. That
Yeah.
entire squad right there.
Absolutely. I mean, man, for me, this is honestly one of the better DCEU films. I think I enjoyed watching this more than I enjoyed watching the Snyder Cut. I really do.
I did too.
I enjoyed watching this movie. And again, I hope that this continues to be the step in the right direction that the DCEU needs. It's as a DC movie, the Suicide Squad is a 9 out of 10 for me.
Yeah, it's a 9 out of 10 for me
It
too.
is. It
Yeah.
really is. I mean, it did a lot of things. It did everything the way it needed to. It had actual stakes. It was funny as hell. It was gory. It was bloody. It was intense. It was brutal. It was such a good balance between so many different things. Like you said, it had the gore, it had the comedy, but it was also, they can do those things because it's those B and C list villains of the DC universe, and it's not the Joker or what's his name from Superman. I don't know, but you know what I'm saying. It's the villains allowed it to be that way. I loved it, man. It may be my favorite DCEU movie to date, even more so than the Snyder Cut, which is kind of crazy, but I think I like it better.
Yeah, it's honestly 1, 2, 3, 4. It's the 5th.
What the hell was that?
I don't fucking know what the hell happened there, guys. Jesus. Fucking hell. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't breathe.
All right, well, let's move on.
Guys, I'm sorry. Something happened. Something happened to my audio. And like I have headphones in, it just went purely static.
Yeah.
I am pretty sure I lost like 10% of my hearing right there. Jesus. All right, what happened with What If?
All right, well, let's move on from the DCEU to the MCU, because the first episode of Marvel Studios' What If dropped on Disney Plus, and it was really cool. Actually, I liked it a lot more than I thought I would, and it took it about 15 minutes or so. I really got like old school 90s Marvel cartoon vibes from it. Like if you were a 90s kid and you watched like The Incredible Hulk or Spider-Man or the X-Men show from like 1990, like 3, 94, 95, like mid 90s, it was pretty cool. Like it's a cool way to explore the multiverse without having to do like a live action type deal. You know what I mean?
Well, funny you should say, because I think there's a theory, or I don't know if it's confirmed, but this series, Marvel What If, is technically going to be canon. All this is canon.
It is canon, yeah,
it's
because
canon.
it's the multiverse, so like it is canon, yeah.
Yeah, because whenever the Watcher pretty much says, "Let me guide you in this vast new multiverse," it's pretty much confirming like what Sylvie did in Loki. Pretty much set this whole thing into play. And I'm not gonna lie, obviously the big story was Captain Carter. Like that was the big thing everyone wanted to see, or that was the big thing they were advertising, was Captain Carter. So obviously it was going to be the first episode, and I would say like in the beginning of halfway through this series, or this show, or this episode, I was kind of like on the fence of like, okay, yeah, this is just gonna be fun. It's going to be fun just to watch it.
Yeah,
they were zooming past it.
There were a lot of things that were just like zoom, and we went past it, and I was like, oh, it's like we're just getting straight to the point.
Yeah, the pacing of this movie was fucking insane.
Yeah,
but after like that, halfway through, it slowed down a bit. It gave some legitimate depths into Captain Carter, which I don't know the story of Captain Carter all that well. I just know that that was a possible storyline that they did. But yeah, I mean, it was pretty good. The animation in it is obviously very, like you said, 90s kind of Disney.
I think that's intentional though. Like in a way, I almost wonder if it's kind of a callback to that, because it's just funny, because what they're doing right now, you could even consider all of that to be multiverse stuff. Like it's funny how it does that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well,
I love that the Watcher has been introduced too, because the Watcher is one of my favorite characters, even though he's kind of irrelevant, to be honest. He's one of my favorite characters in like MCU lore, or of Marvel Comics lore, just because it's cool. You know what I mean? A lot of people have always speculated that it's Stan Lee himself, that Stan Lee wrote himself into his universe, and he is the Watcher.
He technically is the Watcher. Did you not know that? Like,
he kind of is, yeah.
Yeah, Guardians of the Galaxy 2. They when they were jumping through different portals, there was one scene where it was him and the Watchers. And that was like one of our first viewing of the Watchers live in the MCU. So it makes sense for him to be a Watcher. I don't think obviously Stan Lee isn't the Watcher in that. It would have been cool to like use his voice.
Yeah.
But no, that's not the case. But still, great to see the Watcher actually have some narration in this.
Yeah.
In the MCU and actually have more prevalence in the MCU.
Right.
But again, he was only in there for so long, but the main story was Captain Carter. And it's great to know that they still gave the story to Captain Carter and still kept the same story of of Steve Rogers, so to speak. It's the same general story as Steve Rogers' story in Captain America: The First Avengers, but they took some liberties with it for Captain Carter, which I still love.
I thought it was very interesting, and I think that's part of what made me kind of go like, "Oh, okay." When Steve Rogers became Iron Man, I was like, that's pretty cool. Like that's different, and it changes it because in that timeline, would Tony Stark have ever become Iron Man? Probably not, because his dad wasn't even Iron Man. His dad made the suit for Steve. So Steve Rogers would have been Iron Man, but he wouldn't have been around for all of the Infinity War stuff because he would have been old. You know, like at the end, Miguel had actually texted me and he was like, they're really going to break my heart again when Peggy gets taken into the Tesseract portal and then she ends up with Nick Fury and Hawkeye at the end. It would have been reversed because if you remember, I believe, is it in Civil War when Peggy dies and Steve goes to her funeral and things? I think it's in Civil War, in the live action theatrical Civil War. It would have been the same kind of thing. Steve would have been an old man by the time Peggy ever got back because it was 70 years after the war had ended. So it was just kind of an interesting twist. I thought for a second when they were on the train and Steve got like pummeled by the avalanche and the bomb and all that stuff, I was like, well, Steve still ended up he's going to become the Winter Soldier. But I was wrong.
I thought that too.
Yeah, that was what I kind of thought, but I was wrong. And I was kind of happy to be wrong when he came out at the end. So honestly, Steve Rogers still kind of ends up on top at the end because he would have became Iron Man. You know what I mean? He would have became Iron Man, and then he would have been Iron Man for all of those years, and then Peggy would have come back towards the current MCU point, which is what, 2012, I believe, is when the first Avengers film takes place.
Yeah. Well,
so she would have come back then.
Well, if you know, like obviously one of the other episodes is what if Killmonger saved Tony Stark? So it's like, does he even get the opportunity to become Iron Man? Because he doesn't get the idea. He never got the idea.
Yeah.
So,
well, and that's the cool thing about these episodes, though, is each one is going to be its own thing. Like, it doesn't matter what happened in the last episode because this is a different timeline. At least for what we know about it. I mean, I could be wrong, but I think every single episode is a different timeline. So each one is unique, and that what happens before or after is irrelevant because it's its own timeline. It's its own part of the multiverse. So I think it's cool. I think it's a really cool way of Marvel introducing the multiverse, and it's a really cool way for them to explore that idea, because it would have been too hard and it would have been too confusing for audiences if they would have just had it live action. It would have taken way too much time and money. It would have been confusing. So it's a cool way to explore that.
Yeah, I agree. And
absolutely.
I'm a little iffy about the show in its own, because the only thing I'm iffy is the darkness in this show, because I don't think the What If episodes are going to be as dark as you think, just from this episode alone. Because the one thing I noticed was every time there was like a killing or like a shooting, they censored it to a certain degree. You know what I mean? Like it was either the shadow,
there was no blood or anything.
There's no blood. There's nothing. So it was interesting for me to think like how gritty are these movies going to be, and it makes me wonder how gritty the zombie episode is going to be.
Dude, I'm hyped for the zombie episode.
That's going to be interesting to think about.
I'm excited for that one.
Here's the thing, man. The zombie storyline in the Marvel comics is by far one of the saddest storylines in Marvel history. It's fucking sad, because they like every single one of them become zombies. Everyone bites the bullet, and the storyline with Spider-Man and the zombie comics is so fucking sad. So, and gruesome. Jesus Christ, it's gruesome. But yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see that as a 40-minute. Well, how long was this? This got to be like 40 minutes.
I think it was only 30. It was only a half hour.
Exactly. The fact that we're gonna are we really about to get a zombies MCU zombies Marvel episode that's gonna be 30 minutes? I don't know. That seems like such a throwaway, but I guess I would love to see that. I'm gonna be glad to see that on a series alone. Like I'm gonna be happy to see it, but it's gonna be
Yeah.
a shame to see that it's gonna be like one simple episode.
I don't know. It'll be interesting. All of them are going to be interesting. Do we know how many episodes are going to be in a season?
No, but you know that there's going to be multiple seasons.
Yeah, there has to be because you could keep it going.
There's plenty.
It's something
you can keep
that
going
you could
forever.
Yeah, you could keep going forever with different stories. Even if the multiverse thing changes in Multiverse of Madness or Spider-Man No Way Home or whatever, you could still keep going. You could still keep telling those stories. Where they're going to run into hiccups is if the actors won't start reprising their roles. But I mean, you could just do what you did with Chris Evans and Brie Larson and Robert Downey Jr. since they're not reprising their roles. I don't think Scarlett Johansson is reprising hers either. You could just get another voice actor to play their part. So
that's what they did.
You could keep it going forever.
That's what they did for a lot of them. Most
I have
of
the
them
hiccups.
You'd be alright. It's because you got
Pissing me
that.
off.
My guy is almost done with his voodoo child.
My IPA.
there, like, yeah. So that's why. But I think even if the characters don't reprise their roles, I mean, I really didn't care for the voice actors, so to speak. I mean,
Yeah.
I kind of just let it slide. I mean, I'm
It
sure
was
there's
okay.
some. Yeah, it was great to hear. Obviously, Nick Fury is probably one of the most distinctive voices in the MCU. So it's clear. It's nice to hear his voice. But like, if I didn't know what Captain Carter's voice was, I would have been okay. I just know what her voice is. If they were to recast her voice,
But she did play herself though.
Exactly.
A lot
but
of them
if
did.
If she didn't, I probably wouldn't have noticed. So that's the beauty. That's the beauty of animated shows.
Right.
It's like I've seen the animated Marvel series, Marvel's Avengers Assemble, whatever that is.
Yeah.
I've seen it, and I don't think it's weird. Some people will think it's weird because people how can I put this? People were so upset with that new Marvel game because people were so upset with that Marvel game because one of the reasons, obviously, it had some kinks, but it's getting better. But one of the initial ones was how different they were from the MCU.
Well, I don't know.
And what people need to understand is the Marvel universe in and of itself has been here before the MCU. The MCU is coming from the Marvel universe. So they need to understand that there's going to be different iterations of these characters, and they're all not going to look like Robert Downey Jr. They're not going to look like Chris Evans. They're not going to look like Scarlett Johansson. They're not going to look like Chris Hemsworth. They're not going to look like them. They're going to look like what their comic variation is. It just so happens that these characters in the MCU are so well known and so pop culture famous that's what they contribute them with. So like it's pretty much like you have to understand that whenever there's a new thing coming out, you have to understand that they're not going to look like the people from the MCU.
Right.
So I think that's where some people are going to be kind of like hard to get used to, because when these people start leaving their roles and they're gonna have to be recasted or whatever, they have to understand like these are the characters. They're the characters in the story. They're not just the actors, so to speak.
Well, and I didn't have a problem with that at all. And I don't own the game. I've watched a lot of video on YouTube. I think like with the Insomniac Spider-Man game, that's one of the greatest video games I've ever played. And it's nothing like the MCU at all.
Yeah.
And I was fine with it. I don't think that's the main problem with the Avengers game. I hate myself. I have these hiccups. Sorry, guys. I think the issue with the Avengers game is that the story wasn't good enough, and the gameplay itself, the way that you play the game. I know it's terrible. I really apologize. I think the way that you play the game is the issue. I don't know why.
Guy, hold your breath while I continue talking. Okay.
You talk.
Jeez, just hold it. Just hold it. But I agree with you. Obviously, that game has a lot of kinks. I mean, I for one have not played it, but for me in that whole Marvel video game, I feel like it had a lot of potential, and it still does in my eyes.
Yeah, it does. It's there's value there.
Yeah, but the point I'm getting is pretty soon with the Marvel What If it continues, there's going to be people that won't be able to do their voice acting. So they're going to have to get used to the fact that your
That will
favorite
change.
actors, like your favorite actors are not going to play these heroes forever. Like, and next generation is going to hear a whole different cast of characters that will play these heroes.
Yep.
So like you can't be too attached to them, so to speak. So that's why with the whole Marvel What If, it's good to know. The one I'm more excited of that's voicing is T'Challa with Chadwick Boseman. I'm excited to see that, but I understand that future projects will have a different voice actor, obviously.
Right.
So that's all I'm getting at.
For sure. But I liked it. I'm excited for the series as a whole. We love the Suicide Squad, the Hiccup Squad. We've loved Hiccup If. But that's going to do it for us on this episode of Let's Talk Movies. Thanks so much for joining us, guys. If you do not follow us on Twitter...
Oh my God, man. Jesus.
How about you do the exit, Miguel, since I'm in Hiccup world here.
Okay. Well, guys, thanks for following us. Thanks for just sitting down and talking to us, guys. If you guys don't follow us on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok at Let's Talk Movies or at We Talk the Movies, check us out Monday and Friday for our podcast for movie news and also for our general topic. So yeah, thanks.
Thanks, guys. See you.
Okay, is that it? We're done?
Yep. Whole thing is done. That was the episode.
That was the episode. It sounded like the episode.